Hey everyone, Jess Sherman here. We are going to talk probiotics tonight. There's new research, there's old research, there's conflicting research, and all of this is leaving parents wondering, are probiotic supplements okay for my kids? Will they help? Will they help resolve their anxiety? Will they help fix the gut? Will they help with their autism or their ADHD? Which ones will help? There's so much on the market, it's very confusing. Research on this gut microbiome, so that's the consortium of microbes, the yeast and the bacteria, the fungus. Research on that is exploding right now. It's moving very, very quickly, and it's fascinating. It's quite revolutionary. And we know a lot. We know a lot, and we don't know a lot, and we don't even know what we don't even know, because this is kind of frontier stuff. So what we know is that the microbes in the gut function as an organ, and they connect every system in the body together. The microbiome is a connector. They're connecting the immune system with the neurological, with the respiratory system. They're able to communicate. They communicate with each other, and they communicate with other chemicals in the body. And they seem to function as regulators. They might be one of our main regulators, because they regulate metabolism and inflammation and the immune system. And so we know enough to know that the microbes, our microbiome is supremely important to our health, right? We know that cesarean section, babies who are born by cesarean and don't get that vaginal wash of microbes from delivery, that there are immune system consequences to that. And kids who are born by C-section are at higher risk for asthma and allergies and type 1 diabetes and celiac disease, all of which have to do with the immune system, all of which have to do with microbes. So we know that. So we know enough to know that they're important, and that neglecting them is probably not a good idea. It's definitely not a good idea, right? So a lot of our healthcare crises that we are experiencing right now probably could have been avoided if we had paid a little bit more attention to microbes and had not destroyed them with antibiotics and destroyed them with steroids and destroyed them with stress and destroyed them with pollution and these sorts of things. And I'm very thankful to microbe research, to research on the microbiomes and on probiotics, to have shone a light on that. But there's a lot we don't know about microbes, and we're not at the point yet that probiotics are going to solve all of our kids' gut dysfunction. We're just not there yet. Maybe someday we'll be there. We know we need to pay attention to our kids' guts. It's something that I teach parents how to do. It's pillar number 4 of our 4 pillars of resilient health. If we want resilient health for our children, we have to pay attention to their digestion. Is a probiotic supplement going to do it? No, it's not. So, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But what I've done for you here is I've created a handout for you, because I know you're very busy and you need strategy, right? So the handout that I've created for you is not about probiotics and which probiotic to choose off of the shelf at the health food store. The handout, you'll find it at jesssherman.com/p/probiotic food. Hint. Handout is about how to get your kids to eat fermented, probiotic-rich foods. Because that, to me, is a way better way of spending your time and your energy and your money, because they're like dirt cheap if you make them yourself, than trying to figure out which probiotic strains do what, because we're not quite there yet. Our guts have trillions of microbes, thousands of species of yeast, fungus, bacteria, even viruses, and they're all working together. And to think that you can organize or reorganize a complex system like that with one pill that contains, between 1 and maybe 10, maybe 20 different strains, we're not there yet. Someday medicine probably will get there. The race is on right now. Researchers are trying to map it out and figure out what microbe does what, mostly so that they can create really targeted medical therapies, and so that they can encapsulate and patent certain strains and make medicine out of them and make lots of money, right? So they're off busy doing that, and that's awesome, but it's not going to help us right now. What is going to help us right now is getting our kids to eat traditional fermented foods. And it's not as hard as you might think. And I've created a handout to explain some of the really easy ways that you can get these powerhouse foods into your kids. So you can get that at jesssherman.com/p/probiotic food, all one word. Now, back to the probiotics themselves. There's been a few studies that have come out that have really thrown parents into questions, because I know a lot of you are taking probiotics and giving them to their kids, and I do recommend them sometimes as, you know, a quick way to get some bacteria in. I don't think they're nearly powerful enough, and I don't think they're as helpful as fermented foods, but I do talk about them in my coaching program and with my clients. There's one particular study I just want to talk about. Came out this year, 2018, and it was a small study that came out in Cell, is the name of the journal that it's in if you want to look it up. And they looked at 21 people post-antibiotic. So they looked at, they split the group into 3. So 7 of the group after antibiotic got a placebo, 7 got a probiotic, and 7 got a fecal transplant. So, and then they looked at their microbiomes after to see which group recovered the quickest. The fecal transplant group is did the best. They regenerated quickly. So that's when you actually take feces. They took their own feces and reintroduced it back to them after the antibiotic therapy. The placebo group was the second best, and the probiotic group came in last, which is not what they expected. It took them longer to regenerate. So that's now causing some questions, because we're always told now to take probiotics with antibiotics. And so now we're all confused. So here's what I took from this study. First of all, it looked at 21 people. It's the first of its kind to have noticed that there's not been a positive effect with this particular probiotic post-antibiotic. There's other studies to show that it reduces infection and that it supports the immune system and that it supports healing. So in the face of that, I think it's really interesting, but I still think it's probably a good idea to replenish our gut bacteria best we can after antibiotics rather than do nothing. Small study. So that's the first thing that I wanted to say. The second thing is that it shines a light once again on the complexity of this system, that we can't rearrange this complex system with one simple pill. If we reintroduce the complex system in the fecal transplant back in, now that's revolutionary. That's the future of medicine right there. If we can do that. We're not quite there yet with fecal transplants in terms of safety and efficacy and but I've got my eye on that research because it's fascinating and it really seems to be the future. But does it mean that probiotic supplementation has no value? I think what it means is that in the absence of fecal transplants, which we really don't have access to, what other complex matrix do we have that we could reintroduce to the gut to help nourish it? Well, we have fermented foods. In a fermented food, you get the yeast and the fungus and the bacteria and the lactic acid. You get this consortium mixture of foods. You get bacteria from the environment if you make it yourself. So it's going to give you a lot more bang for your buck if you learn how to use fermented foods. And so that's what I want to teach you. We can wait until the researchers hammer it out and figure out, you know, what strain does what and make their very targeted therapies and probiotic pills. And there are a few good ones on the market that I have seen kids do really well on, but it never sticks, right? It's never the whole story. A probiotic is never the whole story. It's part of this complex microbiome web, but it's never the whole story. Okay, so I want to support you in figuring out how to get these nutritional powerhouse foods into your kids, because that's what's going to support resilient health. So download the strategy sheet, jesssherman.com/p/fermented food, with an S, fermented foods, all one word. And start to experiment. It's not as hard as you might think. You don't have to make them. And in the sheet, I show you what to look for, so you know you're getting quality, you know you're getting what you actually want. If you're going to buy these in the store, because there is a lot of junk on the market. So I tell you what to look for and what to stay away from. If you want to get into making your own, I can help you with that. You can look for our beginner's guide for fermentation if you want to venture into making it yourself. But the first things first is to download the strategies, take a look, pick one or two, and start to get these foods into your child, because they are going to give you big bang for your buck in terms of supporting digestive health, and by doing that, supporting every system of the body. So that's all for now. You can learn more at jesssherman.com. Take care.